we have Tommy, and Tommy is our Texas Belle, and she is a mother of two and a grandmother of two. So y'all, please welcome Tommy.
Many years ago, I came across a scripture that totally ruined me. Ephesians 5:10 says, "Find out what pleases the Lord." Find out what pleases the Lord. And I studied the scriptures. I'm a discovery learner. I like to dig in, dig around, excavate, pull up the stinky roots, just really get in there and fish around for what it is. And I found out that there's one thing that I know that pleases the Lord more than anything I do in my life, and that's to bring Him glory. So I started looking at life in the rearview mirror, kind of. As you get a little older, you look forward. But the only way you can see your past is to kind of look in that rearview mirror. And God showed me that His glory came in spite of what was in the past. I said, in spite of all of that, in spite of all the things that I had already done and things that had happened to me, this life of ambiguity, things that were so dysfunctional, and yet the glory of God was in those things. How was that? So I continue to pursue and look forward and say, well, how else can I bring you glory now? And He says, you bring me glory despite. Despite? Despite your sin. Despite the things that you try desperately to do on your own, and yet fail miserably to produce glory alone. You bring me glory despite all that. You can never do anything to make me love you anymore. You can never do anything to make me love you any less. So despite where you find yourself, I love you, tremendously love you, and I'm proud of you. You bring me glory. And I looked again into the future. What does this look like? What does it look like? You don't drive the car only looking in the rearview mirror. You've got to drive through the windshield. So what does that look like? What does that look like? And He says, to spite. What? To spite? I thought, what does it mean that God's glory is in how I might see spite? Not a mean, vicious, spiteful God. Not a spite that brings, concern or hate. He says, think about that book you read, The Shack. And you've had this vision of who I am. But I'm not that. In the book, The Shack, he describes God as this heavy-set, big-bosomed black woman. And I picture God standing there with His hand on the hip and His fingers snapping and His head wagging, saying, I'm still in charge here, girl. So as I look forward to bringing Him glory, He says, I am going to get glory from the way you see me. In fact, I'm still in charge, and you will bring me glory as you consider that every day you live out your life, looking forward, even in the rearview mirror. In spite, despite, to spite. Think about the things that's happened in your life, and remember not that bad things didn't bring Him glory, but that all those things may be working together for good for His glory. And that despite all the things that you tried desperately to do, that they could be a part of how He's challenging you to change so that you bring Him glory. And that remember always, His glory comes because He is in charge. He's in charge of all the things in your life. So, in spite, to spite, despite, that's how God works in my life. How does He work in